Welcome, audience! How are you? Are you ready to know about some interesting things about a new city start to be recognized? We have invited some people who have a big job in this new city. And in continuation, we have the environmental conversation with Mariana Perez. Hello, Mariana. We're grateful that you came to this interview. But in this interview, I will ask you some questions about the city, and you're going to ask me with your experience.
Okay, we have a very good strategies to combat the pollution, but one of the biggest strategies that have helped the most is almost completely remove the vehicles that pollute the air and the environment with their gases.
I really good strategy, but how do people can transport themselves?
Well, if the chief of the city has a very a long time, it is no big and no to last a long time to go from end to end. So they use a measure such as riding a bicycle or a scooter. It depends on the person, yes, or if they can simply go walking.
Well, Maria, that is all for today. Thank you to came to our interview and have a good day.
You're welcome.
And that was Mariana Perez with the charge of the environmental conversation representative. And in continuation, we have Sebastian Fajardo, charge of the education representative. We are with you, Fajardo. Sebastian, how are you? Are you ready to start with the interview? Well, don't ask more. I will tell you some questions about the city, and you're going to answer me with your own experience of your job. Okay, first questions. How works the system education in the city, and if the education is for all the ages, like for the childrens have the schools, and for the adolescents have the universities and etc.
I am the host in the education sector and I have a big problem because I only have three schools and one university in all the city, and we need more schools and more universities to can give learn for all the students because are 7,000 of inhabitants in all the city, and we can't do anything with three and one university. All, all the people in the city are analphabet, and we need help of the mayor to give me money to can build more schools and universities and can give education for all the people in the city.
Thank you, Fajardo. That is all for today. And that was Fajardo with the charge of education representative. And in continuation, we have Maria Paula Lobo Moreno with the charge of health representative. So, hello, Marian. How are you?
Hello, Giancarlo. I'm so excited to start this interview.
Okay, so let's start with the first questions. And the first question saying, how is the general health of your city or the population of the city?
In general, the health of our city is very good. We have four clinics, hospitals in all the city. That is very good because we have seven or six citizens. So this is sufficient for all these people. But to the pass of the time, we're gonna put more hospitals, obviously, but all in the pass of the time.
Incredible! Anytime that the city is new, you start to speculate about the inhabitants that you have in the city. But let's continue with the question number two. Now then, you are little city, but in the future you're going to put like more clinics or start the initiative to put hospitals? Because I think that you need to put more things about this sector.
Of course, we will place more hospitals where because in the past of the time, more people gonna live in our city, so we're gonna have more money, and we're gonna use this money to construct schools, hospitals, restaurants, urban zones, etc., etc., etc. So in I think mm, 1 2 years, we're gonna have a really good um a really good uh, quantity of hospitals and any place of can the people can use. So in conclusion, in the past of time, we're gonna have more things because we're gonna have more people in our city, so we're gonna receive more money, and we're gonna use this money to improve the quality of our city.
Well, Maria, that is all for today. Thank you to came to our interview and have a good day.
Thank you, Giancarlo. See you later.
Hi, Barbosa. Are you ready to start with the interview?
Of course, let's start.
Well, don't ask more. I will tell you some questions about the city, and you're going to answer me with your own experience of your job.
Okay, let's go.
Let's start with the first questions. If the tran- if the system of transportation in the city gives a good service,
Our transportation service give a very good service with bus stations and taxi stations in all of the city for give a very fast and effective service.
that is incredible. Then the city then is still new, have preoccupied with some service from the people can don't have a car and can transport to one place to another place. And that is really good because you're only start beginning with the city. But I think then in the future you will going to put more things about these transportations if I'm not wrong.
Of course, the city all days is in expansion. Our service is the same, linking in the future with mobility for everyone.
Okay, Barbosa, that is all for today. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hi, David. Are you ready to start with this interview? Okay, here goes the first questions. How how have able they hand common service in the city, and if they have had an any convenient?
Well, everything is more difficult because the population grow more and more. So the consumptions of water, electric, and gas increment more increase, but everything is controlled.
Hmm, that is interesting. But let's go with another questions. The question number two. So, seeing that the city is growing and exploring, they plan to improve the service over time. They will keep the service as they are, or you're going to make better the service.
Well, obviously, we have to improve our service because the population is growing. So the number of some ministers in the city must grow.
Okay, David, that is all for today. Have a good day. Hi, Dana, how are you? Are you ready to start with this interview? Well, don't ask more. I will tell you two questions, and you're going to answer me that questions with your job in the city. Then in this time is going to be economic development representative. So let's start with the first question. How has been this its economic development in the city since the beginning unit now?
Although we have to spicy that at the beginning, the economy of the city was severely affected because we did not generate much income. With the properties or service food for now, we are better than ever.
That it's incredible. Even though you are the mayor of the city and the city is still new, you have really good plans for the future. But let's continue with the question number two. Since you started with the city project, how you have focused the difficulties? How you pass that time when the city have a bad time?
The factories drop amount of the smoke, but it helps us a lot since with this our economy has progressed and we invested a lot in our city.
What? With public? My contacts are saying that we have a last interview for the day and says then is Samuel Jimenez of the technology part of the city. Oh my god, this is incredible. So let's go with Jimenez and now with the last interview for the night. So, hello Jimenez, how are you? Are you ready to start with the last interview of the night? Seeing that the city is getting bigger and bigger, what will focus on improving the city technology?
For now, we are mainly focused on improving technology in hospitals, schools, and most important places, since they are for the well-being, health, and future of our city.
Hmm, interesting your answer. But let's go with the final question and the last question of this interview that says, how advanced is the technology in the city and if we can use it comfortably?
We have advanced technologically in homes, hospitals, and public services. Since we have improved them and services have become faster. We have added to some sources of energy through wind, water, and power plants. And we have added to some antennas throughout the city.
Okay, Jimenez, that is all for today and the last interview.
Hi Sarapava, how are you? Are you ready to start with the interview? Well, don't ask more. I will make you two questions, and you're going to answer me with your experience of your job. Then is the tax system. So let's start with the first question. Um, is fair the tax system in your city? I'm saying that the properties in your city have a good taxable, a good tax system.
The tax system or city has a fair volume of tax sign. They have a sufficient population for the size of your city. If the city tax were not fair, we would not have the population that we have.
Interesting, but let's continue with the question number two. Um, the question says, do the properties that are in the city handled have the same tax value?
They are not the same sign our city has different sectors such as the commercial sector, the residence sector and the industrial sector. Logically, each of the deck sector but a different tax above but always being fair with the tax above. In the sectors such as commerce and industry, they vary according to their occupation in the city that their tax about depends on that.
Okay, Sarpava, thank you to came to this interview, and that is all today. Have a good day. Hello, Valeria. How are you? Are you ready to start with this interview?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So the first question says, what are you planning to do in the future from the city?
I plan to help the population so that the economy implements more hospitals and places that help improve a city. Also health and scissors, sometimes they have under recurse they lack.
That it's incredible. Even though you are the mayor of the city and the city is still new, you have really good plans for the future. But let's continue with the question number two. Since you started with the city project, how you have focused the difficulties? How you pass that time when the city have a bad time?
At the beginning, we had financial problems because we investigate a lot and earned little. When we set up the clinics, we realized that many people were skilled. Also, later we set up collection and universities because all of our inhabitants were illiterate.
Okay, Mayor, thank you to came to this interview, and thanks from all the persons who came to this interview. We will tell you then. Thank you to came. Thank you to spend your time with us, and have a good night, friends. Goodbye, audience.